What's the strangest wrong number you've ever answered? 1. Back in the days of desk phones, my phone rang one Saturday night. Hello? There was a pause and a female voice said, "Is Cheryl there?" "No. I'm sorry, there's no Cheryl here." "Oh, I'm sorry." And she hung up. 5 minutes later the phone rang. "Hello?" Same voice. "Is Cheryl there?" I said with a laugh. "No. There's still no Cheryl here. I'm so sorry." And she hung up. 5 minutes later the phone rings again. "Hello?" Long pause. "Cheryl's not there. Is she?" I said, "No. She hasn't shown up yet." "Is this 3034X? "No, this is 2534X. You got the number right, bit the area code wrong." "Where is 25? She asked. "California," I answered. "Oh, my God," she said. "I live in Connecticut and call my sister that lives in Massachusetts every Saturday night. She's single and lives alone." And when a man answered, I thought, maybe she got lucky. "Well, I'm single too, and if she's looking, maybe you should give her my number." Now there's an idea. "But you're in California, yeah? Those long-distance relationships just never seem to work out." "Yeah, that's true." "Well, I need to call my sister." "So yes, I know. Say hi to Cheryl for me." "I will. Bye." 2. Wasn't strange, but pretty funny. I was the 8th grade teacher, Mrs. Ellison. The department chair at the high school was also Mrs. Ellison, no relation. But we knew each other pretty well from departmental meetings, vertical planning sessions, projects, etc. Go with me back to the days of the long-lost phone book. Our listing was first among the 6 Ellisons, my husband being named Andrew. And one night, the second week of school, our phone rang, and a trembling teenager said, "Hello, I'm sorry to bother you, but is this Mrs. Ellison, the English teacher?" "Yes, this is she," I answered. "And this is, ? I'm Lexi, from your 3rd period class. Can you please help me? I just don't understand the homework assignment, and I know you said we had to have it tomorrow to start working on our 5-paragraph essay." I paused, pondering my sanity for a second. I hadn't assigned any homework, and my kids wouldn't start writing 5-paragraph essays for another month. Wait a minute, I had staff 3rd period. Then it hit me. "Dear, I think you're looking for Mrs. H. Ellison, at the high school. I'm Mrs. A. Ellison, and I teach 8th grade. "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I apologize for bothering you. We just moved to town, and I don't have any friends here yet, and I'm really trying to do well in school this year." And whoa, "No problem, Han. Maybe I can help you. I've taught high school before. What is the assignment?" And she told me, and then we spent about 15 minutes walking through what an outline for a 5-paragraph persuasive essay would look like. She was so sweet, and thanked me about 5 times. I relayed the exchange to the other Mrs. Ellison a few weeks later, at an after-school meeting. She threw back her head and laughed. That child handed in the best planned and organized outline in the 10th grade. Should have known she had called in a ringer. 3. Phone rings at 3 a.m. I figure it's an emergency and answer. It's a wrong number. The guy apologized. I hung up. A few minutes later, he called back and asked if I ever went out at night. I said no, not since my husband got out of the Navy SEALs. The guy bought it and never called again. I'm not married. 4. I picked up the phone, old school landline back in the day, and heard an angry voice say, "Where's my money?" Since hanging up would only have convinced the caller that I was indeed the object of his rage, I stayed on the line and had what was for me an amusing conversation. "You have the wrong number," I said. "What are you trying to pull?" He said, "You owe me $600. Further questioning revealed my interrogator was a drug dealer, had fronted an acquaintance a considerable amount of money, and was trying to collect with a incorrect phone number he'd been given. He just wouldn't take no for an answer. "I know where you live," he threatened. "I'll come over there and kill you, do it," I said. "Since I'm not who you think I am, it's no skin off my teeth." The conversation went on. I was unfailingly polite the whole time. I eventually excused myself and hung up, and he called back and tried again. Finally I said, "Look, man, your friend cheated you. I hope you find him, but I'm not your man." "Yeah, thanks anyway," he said in a dejected voice and hung up. 5. I was eating dinner at a local restaurant when my phone rang. The conversation: "Me, hello. Caller, who is this? ? Me, no, that's not how this works. You called me. Who are you? Caller, what are you doing with my son's phone? Who are you? Me, no, this is my phone." I just hung up as I found him very rude. A minute later, my phone rang. Same number. I answered, not sure why I did. "Caller, do I need to call the police?" "Me, you do what you need to do. But if you call this number again, I will be calling the police myself." Hang up again. I decide to call the phone company and tell them about it. She took the info and told me they'd see what could be done. About a half hour later, the phone company called me back and said that this man had bought one of those cell phones designed for kids, that can only call specific numbers, and this other company somehow had my number programmed into their system as being one of theirs. When the dad called from his cell phone, it stayed on that phone company's network, so he was routed to the kid. But this time, He called from his landline and was routed to me. I had this number for about 10 years. The kid was 10 years old, so I understood why the dad lost it when I answered what he thought was on his son's phone. I called the dad and told him that phone company had informed me about the issue, and I understood why he acted the way he had. I also apologized for hanging up on him twice. 6. Apparently the guy who had my last number before me installed water heaters and dishwashers and such. Usually I told the people that I'd gotten the number and the former owner didn't have it. I eventually had looked up his relatives and called, and one had given me a number for him. He had an unusual name. What I didn't know was that he died after living with his daughter for a while. A few months after the fact, she thought to call me and let me know. They were nice people. One morning a guy called with a bad water heater and I told him the news. He was quiet for a bit and then started to come sort of unglued on the phone. He said he was 85 years old and couldn't do it himself. He lived alone and didn't have anyone else to call, and wound it all up with what am I going to do? It was cold and the plumbing companies were all doing frozen pipes. I didn't know how to do one well enough to go do someone else's then, either. I'd done one, ever. My brother did know how and had an HVAC business. I called him and gave him a sob story about this, set a time up to go do it that evening and called the guy back. They wound up keeping in touch for a long time.